Esta es una guerra.
This is a war, yes, but one for control by the narcos. But we the citizens are providing the deaths, and the governments of Mexico and the United States, the guns, and they, the imminent, the invisible, and the hidden ones, within and outside of the governments, they take the profits.
Se llevan las ganancias.
These words were spoken in 2011 by journalist Javier Valdez Cárdenas, as he stood on stage in New York, where he was the recipient of the Committee to Protect Journalists International Press Freedom Award. Just under a decade earlier, in 2003, Javier co-founded the multi-award-winning Rio 12 weekly newspaper that reported on drug trafficking news and analysis. The newspaper was based in Culiacán in Sinaloa, Mexico, the most dangerous country in the world to be a journalist. In his CPJ speech, Javier said that, "I have been a journalist these past 21 years and never before have I suffered or enjoyed it this intensely, nor with so many dangers. Where I work, Culiacán, in the state of Sinaloa, Mexico, it is dangerous to be alive, and to do journalism is to work at an invisible line drawn by the bad guys who are in drug trafficking and in the government, in a field strewn with explosives." This he knew from personal experience. In 2009, after the publication of a series called Hitman: Confessions of an Assassin in Ciudad Juárez, a grenade was thrown through the Rio 12 office window. Fortunately, no one was injured, but the investigation made no progress. Despite the awards and the international plaudits, Javier was known to be a sensitive journalist who gave a voice to the victims of organized crime. "I have preferred to give a face and a name to the victims, to create a portrait of this sad and desolate panorama, these leaps and bounds and shortcuts towards the apocalypse, instead of counting deaths and reducing them to numbers." On the 15th of May 2017, Javier was driving through the city center in Culiacán, just a short distance from Rio 12's offices, when suddenly a car cut in front, causing him to stop. Two armed men got out and forced him at gunpoint out of his car. They shot and killed Javier in broad daylight. One then fled in Javier's car, the other one in their own vehicle. When news of Javier's murder hit the news wires, condemnation and rage from within Mexico and around the world flooded in the room the President of Mexico, journalists, and of course the CPJ, who said that his loss is a blow to Mexican journalism and to the Mexican public, who see a shadow of silence spreading across the country. Javier's murder came after months of intense violence in the city of Culiacán. The Sinaloa cartel, one of the most powerful transnational organized criminal networks in the world, was consuming itself in the very heart of its operation, as two rival factions vied for control. One such faction was led by a former police officer turned narco-trafficker, Damaso López Núñez, and his son, Damaso López Serrano. An investigation into Javier's murder led to the authorities to three men, all said to be part of Damaso López Núñez's cell: Heriberto Barraza Picos, known as El Koala, Juan Francisco Picos Barrueto, street name El Quillo, and Luis Ildefonso Sánchez Romero, El Diablo. The first two were arrested and charged. The third was killed in September 2017. Javier had interviewed Damaso earlier in that same year, and it's information that was published in Rio 12 that colleagues believed led to his assassination, and that was ordered by someone within Damaso's organization. A warrant was issued for Damaso López Serrano, who on the 26th July 2017 handed himself into the police at a border crossing in Calexico, California, where he is now a cooperating witness. In early 2020, Serrano, whom Mexican authorities believed to have been the man behind the murder, issued an extradition order to have Serrano returned to Mexico. He currently sits in a U.S. jail. Impunity is at the heart of the lack of justice, and Valdez's widow, Griselda Triana, believes those who ordered the assassination are still at large. She said that, "We lose precious people who use the words to lay bare the truth about the rotten society. With useless institutions that treat the victims with contempt, he was snatched away from us. Mexico is the most dangerous country in the world to be a journalist. Organized crime, corruption, and impunity means that 99.6% of attacks against journalists in Mexico go unpunished. Indeed, Javier's brother, Rafael, told AFP news agency that he asked himself several times whether he was afraid. He said yes. He was a human being, so I asked him why he risked his life, and he replied, "It is something I like doing, and someone has to do it. You have to fight to change this." This award is like a lighthouse on the other side of the storm, a safe harbor beyond the tempest. At Rio 12, we have experienced a macabre solitude because nothing that we publish has reverberations or follow-up. And that desolation makes us more vulnerable. Despite all of this, with all of you, and this award, I can say that I have somewhere to take shelter and to feel less alone.
Muchas gracias.